Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings for Tuesday, December the 27th. We actually have a big Tuesday slate. Normally Tuesdays are not days where we have many games, but we got 10 games tonight. So we're going to go game by game, guys. We're going to give a quick breakdown of this 10-game slate, my early thoughts, what I do like, taking a first look on Monday night. Before we do get started with the breakdown though, as always, if you guys do enjoy these DFS videos, if they do help you out, please hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet, and if you're new to the channel, check out PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks and use my promo code Noah. PrizePicks, they will match your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And as you can see, PrizePicks is a player prop based DFS site, so it's really simple and easy to use. You're just taking more or less on a player's projection. You have to make at least 2 picks. You can make up to 6 picks, and you can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. So if you guys want to give them a try, make sure to sign up with my code. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100. And as always, I should have a PrizePicks video posted for today. Sometime later, probably on Tuesday, early Tuesday afternoon, I'll be sharing some plays I like for PrizePicks. If you guys want to check that video out, it will be uploaded on the channel again sometime on Tuesday. But let's go ahead and talk through this slate, and we'll start off with the first game of the night, the Lakers and the Magic. So looking at the Lakers, first off, no Anthony Davis still, so LeBron James we can expect for a really big role here. I think it's a really good matchup as well. Orlando's defense is not the best. This is a pretty bad Magic team in general. We haven't seen like a massive ceiling from LeBron. Like he doesn't, it's not too often that he puts up like 65, 70, but man, like he's been super consistent, 50 plus DK points in like 7 straight games. I mean, the floor is really good. The ceiling at his price tag, like, can LeBron go out there and like win you the slate? I think he can. We haven't seen it as of late, but it's a really good matchup. We know the usage and the workload is going to be big, big time without Anthony Davis. So I'm fine going to LeBron as a pay-up option today. I don't love too many other Lakers though. Westbrook at 7,200 feels priced correctly. Thomas Bryant's minutes have kind of been over the all over the place lately. He only got 19 minutes last game. He did get into some foul trouble, but even in the second half, he barely played. So it seems like the Lakers are fine kind of playing like small ball and playing LeBron at center, which is not great for Thomas Bryant. I still think he should be productive in the minutes that he gets, but I don't think it's a guarantee that he plays like 30 plus minutes a night. After last game, we saw him kind of get cut a little bit, so a little bit iffy on Thomas Bryant. The rest of the Lakers, I'll pretty much pass on here. I don't see too much else I like on this team. And then on the other side with the Magic, it's a pretty good spot for the Magic. The Lakers' defense has not been great. The Lakers do play at a fast pace. I think Paolo Banchero at 8,100 looks kind of solid here. Banchero was disappointing last game in a really good matchup against the Spurs, but I think this is another spot where he should have some success. We know the minutes are going to be there. This is a game that probably will be close. The Lakers have not been playing that well lately. The Lakers might honestly lose this game, which is bad to say, but I think this game should be close, should be competitive. We should see big minutes from Banchero. He's in play for me at 8,100. The rest of the Magic, though, like Wendell Carter Jr., Franz Wagner, Markelle Fultz, I don't love these guys. I think Fultz is okay at 5,900, but this price tag feels about right, especially for a 10-game slate. I don't think Fultz is really like a standout play. He's just kind of like a low-owned tournament option. So that'll do it for this one. We can go ahead and move on to the next game, the Sixers and the Wizards. So for the Sixers today, James Harden, Joel Embiid, both pretty expensive. 10.9 for Embiid and 9.7 for Harden. Embiid, just continues to put up monster game after monster game. He was a little bit disappointing on Christmas Day. He did have 35 points, but he didn't do too much else with peripherals. Only 8 rebounds, 1 assist. He had no defensive stats. We know that Embiid is going to have a massive workload. He's going to play huge minutes. The matchup against the Wizards, I think, is solid. Like, the Wizards have not been the strongest defensive team against bigs. Porzingis has never been like an elite defender, so I'm fine going to Embiid today. I never really have an issue with Embiid. I think he's more of a GPP play, but he's definitely viable. I think Harden at 9,700 is okay as well. Harden's had some huge games lately. He had a big game against the Knicks on Christmas Day. At 9,700, I think Harden's priced about right, but I do have a little bit of interest in him as a pay-up option. And then the rest of the Sixers, Melton, Harris, no one else stands out on this team. And then on the other side with the Wizards, I don't love much from the Wizards today. They all feel priced about right here. Porzingis is 8,800, Kuzma's 8,500, Beal is 7,800. It's not the best matchup. The Sixers have been playing some good defense lately. They've been playing at a really slow pace as well. So probably just going to be avoiding the Wizards on the slate. I don't see too much I really like on this team. If I had to play anyone, my favorite play would probably be Bradley Beal, just because I think 7,800 is kind of cheap for Beal. But again, it's not the best spot. So that'll do it for that game. Really, it's just like Harden and Embiid that look solid to me in that one. Next game, though, the Rockets and the Celtics. So for the Celtics today, really good matchup here going up against the Rockets. Obviously you have to worry about blowout risk, especially playing in Boston. But Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, I think are both in really good spots. The price tags on these guys, I think, make them appealing options. I don't think at their salaries they're like jam guys you would want to jam in, but I would definitely be interested in them. Even like in my main lineup, I think I'd be fine going to Tatum as a pay up option today. Houston just they're not the best defensive team. They haven't been playing as fast this season, but they're still a good matchup for pretty much everyone. So I do like the spot quite a bit for Tatum. I like the spot quite a bit for Jaylen Brown. I think between the two, I'd probably prefer to go to Tatum, but Brown we've seen be really productive this season. Gonna play huge minutes. I don't have an issue with him at 9,200. And then the rest of the Celtics, Marcus Smart's in a good matchup. The point guards versus the Rockets have been it's been a matchup I've targeted this season. They've been giving up a lot of fancy points to point guards. Marcus Smart is not like the most exciting guy to roster in DFS. He doesn't offer like a massive ceiling. But in this matchup, I think this is definitely a spot where you can probably get like 35 DraftKings points from Smart. And if Smart puts up 35 like at his salary, that's solid. It's not going to win you a GPP, but it's solid. So I think Smart's an okay mid-range play. The rest of the Celtics, though, Brogdon, Horford, Robert Williams, not super interested in these guys. Robert Williams is cheap, but he's not really playing enough minutes right now to be viable. Got 14 minutes last game, but he's been coming off the bench. They're clearly kind of keeping him on a limit right now. So, yeah, tough to go there, even at a cheap price tag for Time Lord. So, that'll do it for the Celtics. Mainly Tatum and Brown look the most appealing there. And then on the Houston side, KPJ, Jalen Green, 7,300 for KPJ, 6,700 for Jalen Green. Don't love either one of these guys in this spot against Boston. Don't really expect to be going to mini Rockets today. I think Şengün at 5,800 would probably be my favorite play on Houston, but man, with Robert Williams back now, like Boston's defense, especially against bigs, is definitely going to improve. They have given up some big games to centers this season, but I don't think it's like the best spot for Şengün. The $5,800 salary, though, does look solid. We know Şengün has the upside to pay off this price tag. Had a really big game against Dallas. He had a really big game Monday night against the Bulls. I mean, this is someone that can produce at a really high rate. His minutes have not been like super high this season, but in 28, 30 minutes, you can still get like 40 DraftKings points from Şengün. So I don't mind him at 5,800 as kind of a like low-owned dart throw at center. The rest of the Rockets, though, probably going to be avoiding on the slate. I don't see too much else I like from this team. So we can go ahead and move on to the next game, talk about the Clippers and the Raptors. So for the Clippers today, it's the second night of a back-to-back for them, so we're definitely going to have to pay attention to their injury report. Kawhi Leonard did not play Monday, but I would expect he plays today, so he should be back. Paul George did have a huge game Monday without Kawhi Leonard. It was really weird because the Clippers, it was looking like the Clippers were about to get blown out. They pulled all their starters, and then like the bench went on a crazy run. The bench wound up making a comeback, and the game wound up going to overtime, and then Paul George, put up like 15 more DraftKings points in overtime. He was having a solid game, but he really went off when he got that overtime period. Had a huge game without Kawhi. Now with Kawhi back, I'm not super interested in PG today, especially in this matchup against Toronto. Kawhi, though, on the other hand, I've not really been playing Kawhi much this season, but his minutes have started to get back to normal. I mean, he played 34 minutes last game, which I think was a season high. It was. So if we're getting 33, 34 minutes from Kawhi, I mean, 7,900, like Kawhi can easily pay off this price tag when he's playing like 33, 34 minutes a night. So I'm kind of interested in Kawhi at 7,900. Plus, it's revenge game for him against Toronto. He would probably be my favorite play from the Clippers. It's the second night of a back-to-back, so I do expect John Wall to sit. He usually doesn't play on back-to-backs, and he played Monday. So with John Wall probably out, you should see more minutes for Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson's 4,800. He's an okay value play. I don't love him, but I think he would be playable, assuming that Wall does sit on the back-to-back. And then Ivica Zubac's really cheap as well, 4,600. I know he had a solid game Monday night against Detroit. Matchup against Toronto, I don't think it's like the best, but Zubac, man, he's a good per-minute producer. His minutes have been all over the place lately, but when he does get 33, 34 minutes, he can easily outperform the salary. So I kind of have some interest in Zubac at 4,600. But then on the other side with Toronto, so for the Raptors, it's not a team I'm super interested in today. We know, though, the main guys like Siakam, VanVleet, OG, these guys are going to play huge minutes. I know Scotty Barnes' minutes have kind of been all over the place lately, but he did get back up to 40 minutes last game, had a really big game against Cleveland. So I think we can probably expect him to play big minutes as well. Siakam's been amazing this season. He's playing at like an MVP type level. I think this matchup against the Clippers is okay for him. I definitely think Siakam at 10-1 is in play. I think he'll be very low owned at the salary. So as a low owned tournament option, he does make some sense. Van Vliet is 7,600, just okay mid-range play. Even though he had a big game last game, probably not going to chase the Scotty Barnes game. OG's pretty cheap at 6,200. His per minute production hasn't been like great since he came back from injury, but he did have a good game last game against Cleveland. Maybe that'll get him going. Play 38 minutes, put up 45 DraftKings points. We know OG is going to play a ton of minutes. The price tag's cheap. I think OG looks solid here. I think Siakam and OG are probably my two favorite plays on Toronto, but there's really nothing else I'm liking on the Raptors. So let's move on to the next game, the Hawks and the Pacers. So for the Hawks today, you got Trae Young at 9,800. You got DeJounte Murray at 8,300. I think both these guys kind of look appealing. It's a really good matchup against Indiana. Indiana plays at a really fast pace. I think Trae Young is someone we can look to here in tournaments. His price tag's come down a little bit off of what it's been the last few games. I think this is a spot where Trae could definitely have a big game. So as like a low-owned tournament play, I'm kind of interested in Trae. I think DeJounte looks really appealing at 8,300. His price tag has really started to come down now. His per minute production has kind of been all over the place as of late. And since he came back from injury, the first two games he played coming back from injury, he wasn't great. But last game he did put up 46 DK points in 37 minutes. He's been playing huge minutes as of late. He should play huge minutes here if the game stays competitive. And I think this is like the lowest price tag we've seen on DeJounte all season. Like, yeah, he hasn't been 8,300 all season. So really cheap price tag on DeJounte. I think given the savings, given the $1,500 discount, I would probably rather go to DeJounte over Trae today. But both the Atlanta guards I do have some interest in. And then I do want to mention that with Clint Capella out, I think that does obviously benefit John Collins and Onyeka Okongwu. Assuming that Okongwu starts as center, he's in play at 5,500 now. In the games that he has started this season, Okongwu has really not been that great, but he's somewhat affordable. The minutes should be there. It's a really good matchup too. So I do have some interest in Okongwu today, and I think John Collins gets a boost as well without Clint Capella. He got up to 29 minutes last game. He's another guy they were kind of limiting, in his first few games back from injury, but the fact that he played 29 last game makes me assume that he's kind of full go now. So if we're getting full minutes from John Collins at 5,400 without Clint Capella against the Pacers, yeah, sign me up for that. I definitely have some interest in Collins today. So there's a lot to like on Atlanta. I think there's four guys that really stand out here: Trae, DeJounte, Okongwu, and Collins. Don't really see much else though. I'm liking on the Hawks, and then on the other side with the Pacers. So it is a back-to-back for the Pacers. They did get blown out on Monday night against the Pelicans, so shouldn't really see any rest here. Tyrese Halliburton at 9K, price tag's come down a little bit. He's an okay option. Don't love him on the slate, but I think he's always playable. Miles Turner, though, is 6,300. I do have some interest in. His price tag is really cheap. He was 6,600 on their last slate. I can't remember what his price was on Monday. He was he had like an okay game, but he obviously lost minutes due to blowout against Atlanta here, especially an Atlanta team missing Capella. I think it's like a good spot for Miles Turner, and we know that in a competitive game, Miles Turner is going to play like 33, 34 minutes, and in a lot of their competitive games this season, he's been really, really good. A lot of the times when he loses minutes, it's either because of like foul trouble or blowouts. Barring foul trouble or a blowout here, I think Turner has a very likely chance to outperform this salary. So he's probably my favorite play on Indiana. Not really targeting any other Hawks though. Any other Pacers today. So we can move on to the next game, San Antonio and OKC. So for OKC today, it's a really good spot here against the Spurs. I don't love rostering the Thunder guys because they're a team that's just going to really spread out the minutes. They're going to run a deep rotation. But I think SGA is in a really good spot, and at 10K, I'm fine going to SGA even at this price tag. I mean, the matchup's incredible. The Spurs have been one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They play at a really fast pace. Have a lot of interest in SGA here. I think it's a really good spot. I think he looks great in this matchup. Josh Giddey, I really haven't played much this season. At 6,900, I think he's okay. It is a good matchup, so I would not be surprised to see Giddey put up a good game here. Giddey's a fine play. The rest of OKC, though, I'll probably just pass on. I don't really love targeting these other guys. And then on the other side with San Antonio, pretty good spot for these San Antonio guys as well. This should be, a fast-paced game in general. So I think like Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Trey Jones, solid plays. I don't love any of them. Like, none of them stand out head and shoulders above the rest, but I think they're viable. Jakob Poeltl, though, is probably my favorite play on San Antonio. So we saw Jakob Poeltl have a really big game Monday night against the Jazz. That was a really good matchup. He was playing limited minutes his first few games back from injury, but he got pretty much close to normal minutes on Monday, and I think we can expect him to play close to normal minutes again. Obviously, this is a fantastic matchup. I mean, the Thunder have been one of the worst defensive teams against centers. They give up a ton of fancy points at the center position. Pirtle's only 5,700. He's really cheap. This is a really, really good spot for Pirtle. I think he looks like a really good play at 5,700, and he is definitely my favorite guy to target on this Spurs team. But that'll probably do it for San Antonio. I think that covers that team. So let's go ahead and move on to the next game. I want to get through these last 4 games fairly quickly, guys. So Phoenix and Memphis. We'll start off on the Memphis side. I don't love a ton on Memphis today. It's not the best spot against Phoenix. With Desmond Bane back as well, that kind of takes away usage from guys like Ja and Triple J and Dylan Brooks. Ja is like always a viable tournament play, but I'd rather go to some other guys on this slate in better matchups. Bane, his price tag I don't love. Same with Triple J, same with Brooks. It's just, not much I really like on Phoenix today, or excuse me, on Memphis. And then on the Phoenix side, no Devin Booker for the Suns, so Chris Paul at 8K I think does look like a pretty solid option at the point guard position as like a mid-range play. Now, last time they faced Memphis, it was not great for Phoenix. They got blown out. None of the starters played their normal minutes. Assuming this game stays close, we can expect pretty big minutes from Chris Paul. We can expect him to be more productive without Devin Booker. I don't love the matchup, but I think the 8K price tag, like Paul does have the upside to pay off this price tag when he's not playing with Booker. So I do have to mention Chris Paul. A.N. Bridges, I'll probably pass on today. Value-wise, I think Torrey Craig is like an okay value, but not super interested in him. And then we'll have to wait and see like who starts for Devin Booker. So I know they've been going with Landry Shamet as the starter. I'm guessing with Shamet out, it'll probably be Damian Lee. So 4,400 for Damian Lee, assuming he starts here. Like I think he's an okay value play. I don't love him. He's not a guy that I get excited to roster, but he should play a good amount of minutes. The price tag's fair, so I think Damian Lee is in play for value, assuming he does start. But that'll pretty much do it for that game. Let's move on to the next game, the Knicks and the Mavericks. So for the Mavericks today, I think the one guy that really stands out here is Luka, and that's probably it. Luka at 12K, tough price tag to pay for on this slate because right now there's really not a ton of value, even though it is a big slate. There's not like much value that stands out, so it's gonna be really tough to pay like a 12K for Luka unless value opens up. I never have an issue going to Luka. I think the matchup here against the Knicks is fine. The Knicks have not been like the strongest defensive team this year, although their defense has definitely been improving lately. The Knicks have been playing at a faster pace, so I think that does slightly benefit Luka here. The Mavs play at a really, really slow pace. Luka's always fine to go to, but he's not a priority for me, I don't think. And then Christian Wood's coming off a huge game, but I think this is definitely a tougher matchup against the Knicks. I don't love this spot for Christian Wood, but he has been starting and playing big minutes lately. We know he's a productive permanent producer. At 7,700, he is definitely a fine center option today. Gonna pass on the rest of the Mavericks though. And then on the other side with the Knicks, so some big news here that could definitely open up some value is the status of Jalen Brunson. So Jalen Brunson's questionable for Tuesday. If he were to get ruled out, I assume we would probably see either Emmanuel Quickley or Derrick Rose start. But I don't even think Derrick Rose has been in the rotation lately. He's barely been playing. So I think the most likely scenario is that they would start Emmanuel Quickley. Quickley would be a really, really good value play at 4,700. The matchup's not the best, but Quickley should have to play a lot of minutes. I know last time he started was against Toronto. He played 35 minutes that game. We would probably see 35, 36 minutes from him if he is starting here. So if Brunson gets ruled out, Quickley is definitely my favorite play on the Knicks. But I would have some interesting guys like Randall and Barrett as well. I think they would get a little boost if Brunson were to sit. The price tags on those guys feel about right. Randall is 9,300. Barrett's 7,500. Those feel like fair price tags, but obviously without Brunson, if he were to get ruled out, we could expect both those guys to benefit. Don't think it really impacts Mitchell Robinson at all. I don't know if Quentin Grimes sees too much of a boost, but I think Grimes would be an okay play. And then obviously, Quickley, I would have a lot of interest in if Brunson's out. And then, if Derrick Rose were to start, again, I think it's pretty unlikely that happens, but if Derrick Rose does start, he's the minimum salary. Rose has been, decent when he gets minutes in terms of fantasy points per minute, just kind of throughout his career now. He's getting to the later stages of his career, so he's not as good of a permanent producer as he used to be. But if he does start for Brunson at 3K, he'll be in play, I think. So that'll do it for that game. Let's move on to the next one, Charlotte and Golden State. So in terms of pace and expected points scored, I think this is probably the most appealing game on the slate. Two very fast-paced teams going up against each other. For Golden State, Jordan Poole at 8,200, I do like quite a bit as a mid-range guard option. He's obviously having to take on a really big role right now without Steph Curry, without Andrew Wiggins, and the matchup's really good here against a bad Hornets defense that plays fast. So really like Jordan Poole today. Really like Klay Thompson as well. I think 7K for Klay is a fair price tag. I think he definitely has the upside to pay off this price tag in this matchup. And Clay's been getting some big minutes lately. He played 40 minutes last game against Memphis, took 25 shots, so he did have really good usage. He just didn't really shoot the ball that well. Still put up 42 Draftkings points, even on pretty bad shot volume, or pretty bad efficiency, I should say. So yeah, Clay and Poole, I have interest in both those guys. I think DiVincenzo at 6,500 feels priced about right, but he's been starting and playing big minutes, should continue to do so. The matchup's obviously good. He's playable, but I don't love him at that salary. Draymond at 5,900, I do have some interest in. We finally saw Draymond have a good game last game, and he's not been great lately. And it's tough for Draymond to have good games, but when he does have good games, it's usually because of exactly what happened last game. 13 rebounds, 13 assists. He literally took 3 shots. Draymond took 3 shots last game and scored 45 DraftKings points. Like, that just shows you the type of player he is. He's not going to score a ton, but he can get you rebounds, he can get you assists, he can get you defensive stats. And obviously, in a fast-paced, what should be high-scoring game, this does set up as a pretty good spot for Draymond Green. So I'm interested in Draymond Green as well today. And then it's a really good matchup for Kevon Looney, but Looney's minutes have just not been good enough to really be worth rostering. If you told me that Looney was going to play like 30 minutes, I'd really like him, but I just don't think that happens. So not super interested in Looney, even in a really good matchup. And that'll do it for Golden State. Now, on the other side with Charlotte, I think LaMelo as a tournament play looks appealing here. Fast-paced game. Should be a high-scoring game. These are the type of matchups I do like to target LaMelo in. The price tag feels about right on a 10-game slate, but I think as a tournament play, LaMelo does make some sense. I'm not super interested in many other Charlotte guys, though. Oubre, Rozier, Hayward, they all feel priced about right. Hayward at 6K, I think would probably be my second favorite play behind LaMelo. But like Plumlee, I'm probably going to pass on. PJ Washington, I think I'd pass on. So that'll do it for that game. Let's go ahead and move on to the last game of the night, Denver and Sacramento. So for Sacramento today, big news to keep an eye on that definitely could open up some value. Domantas Sabonis is questionable, and the news that we got about Sabonis did not sound very encouraging. So he has been diagnosed with an avulsion fracture of the ulnar collateral ligament of the right thumb. So he has a fracture in one of his ligaments in his thumb. I mean, that doesn't sound too good, but he's listed as questionable, so I guess he has a chance to play. For now, I think we just kind of have to assume that Sabonis is going to play, but obviously if he gets ruled out, there would definitely be value to go to from from Sacramento. Now, man, this is a really, really scary spot going up against Jokic, so if they don't have Sabonis, like, who is going to guard Jokic here? I don't know what they would do. They could start Trey Lyles at center and try and play small ball. They could start, Chimezie. I know Chimezie Metu's kind of been getting some minutes. I know I've seen Rashawn Holmes get some minutes for Sacramento lately. Like, their backup center position has just kind of been like a guessing game. I know Nemanja Quita has been getting some minutes. Like, we don't really know who would start for Sabonis. So it would be really tricky. They have like Alex Len too. I know he's barely played this season, but he'd be an option. And obviously going up against Jokic, like, you kind of want a big body out there. So whoever were to start for Sabonis, I think would be in play for value. I don't know who it would be, but we'll have to wait and see. That's if Sabonis gets ruled out. And then if Sabonis does get ruled out, we can expect a much bigger role for De'Aaron Fox, bigger role for Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Malik Monk. Pretty much everyone would benefit. Fox would be the biggest beneficiary, though. I think even if Sabonis plays, Fox looks pretty appealing here. Really good matchup against Denver. I know Denver's been giving up a lot of a lot of fantasy points to the point guard position this season. The price tag on Fox feels pretty good. Like, 8,400 is not too expensive for him. Obviously, he would look even better today if Sabonis were to get ruled out. So I do like De'Aaron Fox quite a bit on this slate. I think Herter, Barnes, these guys I'm probably only considering if Sabonis is out. And then obviously the value we could look to would be, whoever starts for Sabonis would be in play for value. I don't know who it would be. And then on the other side with Denver, so Jokic at 11.4, definitely have interest in as a pay-up option, and especially if Sabonis gets ruled out. I mean, Sabonis is not the best defender himself. If he were to get ruled out, I mean, this matchup would just be so good for Jokic. Like, the Kings would have no good defensive big to put on him, whether it be Alex Len, Rashawn Holmes. Like, good luck to all those guys if Sabonis sits. So really good spot for Jokic today. I think he's a really good pay-up option. It really comes down to, what kind of value do we have on the slate. Right now, there's not much value, so it's tough to pay up for a guy like Jokic, but that could obviously change if guys were to get ruled out. And then the rest of Denver, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, these guys don't look that appealing. It's a good matchup, but the price tags feel pretty right for all those guys. So Jokic is the play I really like from Denver today. And that'll do it, guys. That'll do it for Tuesday's big 10-game slate. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, I appreciate you watching. Make sure to hit that like button. If you guys enjoyed, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, go check out PrizePicks, sponsor of the video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks. Use my promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. But good luck on the slate. Thanks as always for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.